lawyer.
And he said he plans all his golf outings on the Jewish holidays because he knows he's going to get good weather.
Okay, I like that. Except this year, I'm not taking any credit for Sukkot this year, because this year when Sukkot is in January, I am not taking any credit. Right, so I want to share with you two chapters, one this week, one next week, and appropriate because one is called Faith Lost and one is called Faith Found. I don't know about you, but I'm struggling a little lately. If you're not, then, good for you, man. So he says, I guess it was bound to happen, I suppose. Oh, there's Keela coming off calling. When she knows that I'm in the, oh shoot, where's the, I lost my screen. Where'd my screen go? Oh, there we go. Okay. We're at the end of one of those long sweeps of the pendulum of history when religion has been on the wane. Matthew Arnold heard it on Dover Beach, the melancholy, long, withdrawing roar of the retreating sea of faith. Nietzsche heard it in the words of the madman rushing to and fro in the marketplace. Whither is God, I shall tell you. We've killed him, you and I. What happened next, 2 world wars, a Holocaust, Stalinist Russia, did little to suggest that we were right to have faith in godlessness. Nietzsche was correct in a way he could not have foreseen. The loss of God was, as he sensed, a descent into nightmare and madness, yet it was understandable. I'm just opening the door there. Amazing. I got it. Well, nobody has to get up here. I have everything, the whole world in my hands. I got the whole world in my, maybe it's here. And okay, good. So it came about because at some time in the 16th and 17th centuries, people forgot that the task of religion is to bring peace to the world by bringing peace to the soul. Right? So religion, as we look at it as a communal thing very much, but also it has to be very, very personal. And it's important at this time of year, we're in Elul, and a lot of introspection, and we've just been beaten up so much as a people, and also as just, as a nation. Personal tragedies and public tragedies and communal tragedy, like, oh my gosh, right? So you want to religion is going to bring peace to the soul. Hello, how are you? Instead, throughout Europe, people fought one another in the name of God. Throughout the Middle Ages, there were bloodthirsty clashes between Christianity and Islam. Following the Reformation, war turned inward on Christianity itself. The great wars of religion that scarred the face of Europe led through thoughtful people to conclude that there had to be a better way. And we see the battle that's taking place now is not even about religion necessarily. It's just sort of about, Oh, I had it. There she goes. Ain't it? Got it. If religion were a source of truth, how were we to decide when one religion said one thing and a second another, and each claimed to be the ultimate arbiter? Oh, I'm right. You're right. We're all right. There is this notion in the Gemara, which is a very difficult concept for people to grasp, is Elu ve'elu divrei Elokim chayim. You're right, and you're right, and we're all right. Is that possible? I mean, I'm married for almost 30 years. I have been right once, and I don't intend to be at any time soon. I mean, it just doesn't happen, right? Right, clear. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, see, he's just laughing.
Do you know what Tevye says in Fiddler on the Roof?
No, Zuck.
It says, you're right, and you're right. And they say, how can we both? And someone else comes in on stage and says, how can we both be right? And he says, you know what? You're right too.
Oh, there you go. That's how do we do it, right?
From Tevye, the wisdom of Tevye.
See, if it were a source of progress, why did it so often act as a roadblock, turning its back on discoveries like those of Galileo? If it were a source of freedom, how did it come to ally itself with monarchs, emperors, and accoutrements of power? Rarely was there a greater gap between the ideal and the real, the map and the territory, that with what faith taught and what it did. So people of conscience began to search for another route. Science was born out of the desire to find a patch of objective knowledge, a way of testing conflicting claims. Toleration arose out of the conviction that space should exist for rival versions of faith. Freedom came to be seen as an essential part of politics, not least the freedom that comes from giving everyone a share in the governing process, the democratic dream. The irony is that these were all religious ideals which came to be enacted in secular ways because religions lost the script and became diverted from their proper course. They often do. How does it happen? The great mistakes in human civilization occur when we forget that everything is what it is and not another thing. Religion, the art of bringing heaven down to earth, began to occupy other areas, among them the acquisition of knowledge and the pursuit of power. It dominated the universities. It joined forces with government. It subjected them to a logic that wasn't theirs. The reaction was inevitable: secularization. First government, then universities declared their independence. The trouble is, having lost faith in religion when it played away, we lost faith in it when it was playing at home. I have no idea what universities stand for today, so just don't even ask. There is and I have children in university, so that's why. There is a place for faith at the center of our lives. The reason is that it speaks to something essential in the human condition. Not everything that matters is fully embraced by the great institutions of modern life: government, the market, science, and the leisure of entertainment industry. In a world of ever-accelerating change, we need the rituals and stories that remind us why we are here, that make us feel at home in the world. In the age of massive impersonal forces, the global economy, the Earth's environment, international politics, instant worldwide communication, we need an affirmation that we count individually and irreplaceably. If we are to stay sane, we need something that links us to the totality of what is and gives a human face through institutions on a human scale. Without some sense of the transcendent, we lose the script of human story. We begin to find it hard to say what we're about, what matters, and why. The great faiths are a treasury of meanings, and we're meaning-seeking animals. Faith is about the dignity of the personal, and it can never be obsolete. And as Rabbi Sachs says many times, that faith is the courage to say, like, I don't know, or things like that. Now, we live in a knowledge-based, fact-based, well, it's allegedly, just don't watch the debate tonight. The fact-based society, and when we can't figure things out, then we just like throw it all away, right? But Jews have always lived in, even when we study, so like it's perfect for this week's parsha in Ki-Teitzei, which has the #1 amount of mitzvos contained in any single parsha. So many laws, some I get, some I don't get. So we'll take the classic, the Shiluach HaKan, sending away the mother bird and keeping the bird. What is this about? Why do we have to do it? By the way, they call it an easy mitzvah. If you've ever tried to do the mitzvah, it's a very, very complicated mitzvah to perform. Get the thing and go, I have to do it. And by the way, there's nobody to ask because nobody knows how to do it. It's just one of those things. Okay. Okay, so, and who knows him? Oh, you do. So we're gonna call you, and you're gonna get in touch with him.
We stood on top of.
Yeah, but it's not easy. It's not an easy mitzvah. Rashi calls it an easy mitzvah.
Never replicated.
Yeah, Rashi calls it a mitzvah kala, and because it says that you should have length of days if you perform it, and also honoring your parents, which certainly is not a mitzvah kala. That's what we call mitzvah chamur. It's a very, very hard mitzvah because your parents, they can haunt you long after they leave their earthly existence. Trust me. Okay. I have people that will never step foot at a shul, but comes to the yard site. Oh man, they're not late for a second. It's amazing how that works. So we have a lot of things that we don't understand, we don't grasp. And I'm just talking about Torah and mitzvos. And then when we get into why does everybody hate us so much? Like, what do I do? Well, leave me alone. These great graphics, they talk about how the Turkish president, that guy, I can't figure him out. Like one day he's nice to us, one day he's not. He's like, we have to stop the global expansion of the Israeli government. So if you zoom out and you look at a map of the Middle East, it's like this versus like that. Okay, like really. But what did I do? Like, leave me alone. You go take your oil and take your gazillion people. We just want to go to the Kotel on Yontif. We just want to, have our Bamba and Bisley, go to the beach on Friday. Well, what do you want from us? What did I ever do to you? Except give you, your heart monitors and your cell phones and all that stuff. Well, what did I do? But that's our lot in life. Okay. And I think we should be more worried when they leave us alone. That's what we should be more worried. So let's see. He has a great piece here about, and this is a Ma'aseh Shahaya, by the way, and I can tell you this for a fact that this works. And certainly before cell phones. So before cell phones, I'll just give you an introduction. So I used to go to yeshiva in Monsey. I lived in Monsey. And when you live in Monsey, when you have to get to anywhere, you have to take the Palisades. That's just like a reality of it. Palisades is it's nice, but it's boring. And a tremendous amount of speed traps. So before Waze, people used to have radar detectors, okay, if they work. It was always a speed trap, terrible speed trap. But we know that, let's say you're driving home Friday afternoon, or if you're driving somewhere, if you saw somebody on the road, let me ask you, if you see somebody pulled over on the road, are you stopping? No.
I
What?
I will to help.
No, you're a tzaddikin.
לא, רק כי אני נוהגת לאט, אז אני יכולה לעצור.
Oh, because you have the time to stop. Yeah, I'm going so fast. I don't have like by the time I realize. So, but let's say you're driving, and I'm not talking about driving on Route 80 with 5 lanes each way and ever. Like it's a how to say 2-lane highway. It's pretty rural, most of the way. But let's say you see somebody stopped and they're wearing a kippah.
Sure.
All of a sudden, then you stop.
Right.
So I had a friend, not Jewish, and he used to keep a kippah in his glove compartment for that reason. He said, I promise. And by the way, so Rabbi Sachs writes about that here, which I'm so happy to get that affirmation. And he would say that if he put on a kippah, he knows someone will stop. Now,
נכון.
why is that?
But you're more trusting if you see a yarmulke.
Is it trust?
Yeah.
So does that mean that the reason that you don't want to stop for somebody is because you don't trust them?
No, as females, I think I'm a little bit afraid to.
Okay,
let
I
what
get that.
happen.
Right. Well, we help each other. Maybe we feel like, Amcha. Right. Amcha, we help our people. We see somebody in trouble. We do it. Right. Happens all the time. And in Israel, you got to love about Israel. All those great stories of people who like yell and scream at each other. But, in the supermarket, they're fighting over who's going to pay for the chayal's bill, like that. Like they come with almost a fist fight, things like that, or just take my car. We'll figure out where you live after Shabbos. We'll get to, you'll get there, that kind of thing. Like, and that happens all the time.
Mhm.
That people would stop equally if they saw like a priest or a nun. I think it is a matter of like trust, like
I want to live in your world because
You don't think people
I don't
trust
think so.
them?
No.
You think, I don't know, I think maybe a Catholic would stop, because they might have that same feeling. Do you think we would stop? I'm not so sure.
Well, I would stop, I'd be afraid because I'm a female.
Right, okay.
She said.
That's fair. No, I get
But,
that. Okay.
Interesting point.
Right. If I saw a priest, I don't know, maybe so I should keep a collar in
I
my
guess
car
I
also.
just-
The collar with the yarmulke. Really great. Somebody, please stop for me. Somebody, what is that? That'd be good. Okay, so look what he says. Ki-Teitzei, 275. Social capital and fallen donkeys. Many years ago, Elena and I were being driven to the Catskills, a longtime favorite summer getaway for Jews in New York, and our driver told us the following story. So everybody knows the Catskills. I fulfilled a biblical commandment this summer, and that Shabbos Nachum, I spent Shabbos in the Catskills, right? And I'm not even single, right? And it was something. But just driving up Route 17, although from here you don't have to go Route 17, but we're spending the times in the summer. There's a whole culture about it. It's not what it used to be because all the famous places are not there anymore, et cetera, et cetera. I stayed at Bungalow Colony. Fred's Bungalow Colony, and the whole camps are there. I had to go to camp Saturday night. It was like we go to, there's Woodburn, there's all kinds of, I get a lot of nostalgia.
It's just a lot of different, I haven't.
Yeah, very, I mean,
You find out it's crowded than you used to in the hotels.
well, I never went to the hotels because my parents were never that as people, but I used to go to camp there, right? But just the whole feeling of going to Woodburn or something like that. It brings back a lot of nostalgia. Fialkov's Pizza, right? So Fialkov's, which now is a chain,
Everywhere.
right? And you'll see it in other places too. Let's hope. But they used to be a family from Israel, actually, and that was their parnasa. Their parnasa, they used to come in for the summer and work like crazy for May, June, July, August, a little September, and then go back in Israel. That was, and then that franchise was bought, and now they have in Brooklyn, they have in Surfside, right, and other places, and perhaps even in northern New Jersey one day. Anyway, but I digress. Anyway, so you go, and there's a thing about getting stuck. One of my favorite things to do also is that, and you should listen to it. It's not in season now, though you might get it on Fridays and on Sundays. I have on my phone, there's a contact called Catskills Traffic. It's a Hasidic service, which they speak only in Yiddish, and they give you traffic reports updated because nobody has a smartphone, although they all have one. They have the kosher phones, and you call in and it gives you a whole spiel of like, for Advar Torah, click 1, click 1, click 3, right? It's a step that gives you the traffic report.
See the paper.
Sure,
up there, the-
sure. And it gives you the traffic report saying, the I-95 is going, it's flowing good from the Gowanus Expressway all the way up the Bear Mountain Bridge. This and this. Go on, go, and you're going on 17B, look out, cops are hiding in the bushes. And the guy talks like this, it's hysterical. It is so entertaining, and they update it every 5 minutes. It's user given all the way up until they cancel it's almost Shabbos. And then the same thing going back Sunday night. But you know that people often get stuck on Route 17. Look what he says. He says, this is the driver tells the story. Friday afternoon, he was making his way to join his family in the Catskills for Shabbos when he saw a man wearing a yarmulke bending over his car at the side of the road. One of the tires is flat. He's about to change the wheel. The driver told us that he pulled over to the roadside, went over to the man, helped him change the wheel, and wished him good Shabbos. The man thanked him, took off his kippah, and put it in his pocket. Our driver must have given him a quizzical look because the man turned and explained, "Oh, I'm not Jewish, and I just know that if I'm wearing one of these," he gestured to the yarmulke, "someone Jewish will stop and come to help me." Now, I know this to be true because I have a friend who used to do this, okay? I mentioned the story because obvious relevance to the command in Ki-Teitzei. So stopping to help someone, it's not just a feel-good thing. It's a mitzvah and a Torah when you have to stop and help someone. Don't see your kinsman's donkey or his ox falling on the road and ignore it. Help him lift it up. Now, you could have a lot of homiletics on this also about lifting another person up or lifting someone up with his burden or with his struggle. On the face of it, this is one tiny detail in a parsha full of commands. But the real significance lies in telling us what a covenant society should look like. It's a place where people are good neighbors and are willing to help even a stranger in distress. Its citizens care about the welfare of others. When they see someone in need of help, they don't walk by. Okay? Now, it used to be, I don't know how much it is now, for a lot of reasons, but it used to be that you lived in a neighborhood. And you knew who your neighbors were, and your neighbors' kids knew your kids, you knew their kids, and now we're kind of like siloed a bit. First of all, in Jewish neighborhoods, because everybody's the same, a lot, by and large, in a lot of places. There's not a lot of diversity. So there are a lot of Jewish kids that grow up never having seen a non-Jewish neighbor, believe it or not. For better, for worse, usually for worse, because when they first, then they have a negative kind of imagery or perhaps notion of what non-Jews are, which is incorrect in my opinion. But we build like high fences and big trees, and there's not a lot of neighbor stuff going on. It used to be. Now we're all like, okay, let's be honest, okay? Who doesn't have Life 360? Right? Well, because your kids are big already. When you have young kids, it's like, yeah, oh, I can tell you all my kids are. Oh yeah, right? Yeah, but I don't know what time you're coming home and where you go, and then did you get there on time, and whose house are you at, this kind of thing. But that's a lot of it is fear driven, because not that I need to be nosy and know where my kids are every second. I just I gotta know, the world is crazy. Used to be, my parents would say, go outside in the summer, come back when it's dark.
That's the 6 o'clock thing that rings. It used to be when the kids went home.
Right.
I mean, kids who grew up.
Come back when it's dark.
What that was.
Right? That's the only thing I know when it's 6
Wonderful.
o'clock. Things like that. Come, where were you at? I was at the park. We don't have that anymore. And so this mitzvah gets very much affected by that, I think. Okay? The sages debated the precise logic of the command. Some held that it's motivated by concern for the welfare of the animal involved, the ox, the donkey, and accordingly, tzar b'alei prevention of suffering to animals is a biblical command. Okay, so we know that you're not allowed to torture animals, this whole thing, fine. Others, notably the Rambam, held that it had to do with the welfare of the animal's owner, who might be so distressed that he came to stay with the animal at risk to his own safety. The keyword here being on the road. The roadside in ancient times was a place of danger. So you see someone struggling, again, it doesn't take much to expand this to see it's not just literally a physical burden. So equally, the sages discussed the precise relationship between this command and the similar but different one in Shemos. If you see your enemy's donkey falling under its load, don't pass by, help him load it. Now that's a little bit more complicated, okay? If you see, we have also a lot of, even though we don't know the neighbors, we definitely know who we don't like, right? We know who we don't like. And I mean, half the time they're related to us, but we know we don't like, we know we don't want to sit near in shul. We know, I learned early on in my career, like when you make Shabbos invitations, when you have more than one guest from different families coming, you better find out if they're compatible. Because sometimes you learn the hard way that you bring two people over who do not get along. Yeah, that's not pretty. Talk about it. It's like very awkward. Okay, very awkward. So you want to make sure. Anyway, so that's what the Rambam. So the place of danger. So Chachamim discuss the precise relationship between this one and the enemy. They said that all other things being equal, if there's a choice between helping an enemy and helping a friend, helping an enemy takes precedence because it may overcome the inclination that is, may help end the animosity and turn the enemy into a friend. The ethic of help your enemy, is a principle that works, unlike the ethic of love your enemy, which has never worked and has led to some truly tragic histories of hate. No, it doesn't make sense to say, oh, go make nice to your enemy. No, but if like the guy's having trouble, help him out. Help him out. You see somebody struggling, and I don't know, all the time you're in the supermarket and people are trying to figure out how to get the groceries from first of all, how to cross the parking lot without getting run over, and then how to get the groceries into the car without dropping everything, because you only remember to bring 2 bags. And then you ended up having to buy 6 more, and then you just add it to the pile that's in your garage of all these bags. We should make one of those bag-gamachs, disposable bag-gamachs that we could turn into like some sort of golden creature, because
See what takes,
right?
everyone has their own stuff.
correct. Although ShopRite
Their car.
ShopRite will take them back. We do. The problem is you take them in the car, but when you use them, you have to remember to replenish them.
No, the group is so big that you always have something.
Well, then you have no room for anything else in your car. Yeah, I do. I'm very meticulous about always having a certain amount in my car. I know when I'm going somewhere. But ShopRite will take back clean bags, and I fold them meticulously on the lines and everything. And if you get deliveries, make sure you just take off the white stickers that have your name on it, all that. They will take them back. Put it nicely. You plug the nice lady in the front at the front counter. She's so nice. She likes me. So yeah. Otherwise, it's like, I'm sorry. I mean, I'm sorry. Maybe call me horrible to the environment, but I miss the plastic bags. I like the plastic bags.
Just go into any grocery store.
Well, they're starting to not do it so much either anymore.
You're in the
By
wrong
the way,
grocery stores.
no, you go only in Brooklyn and New York.
Midwest.
I'm saying yeah, there, but here already they stopped using them. Like in aisle one,
Upstate.
aisle one won't do it.
Yeah.
I think by the way,
Deal.
those
Yeah.
are the best. Those are the best garbage bags for the little garbage cans in your house. What else are you going to use? I got to go buy them and like, come on. Anyway, we see we're covering everything here. Help someone who's your enemy. In general, the Rambam says, one should do for someone you find in distress what you would do for yourself in a similar situation. Better still, one should put aside all considerations of honor and go what's called lifnim mishuras hadin. You have to go beyond the letter of the law. Even a prince, he says, should help the lowliest commoner, even if the circumstances do not accord with the dignity of his office or his personal standing. Okay? So everybody has a requirement to stop and help someone else. All of this is what sociologists call social capital. I love when they use these fancy terms, and they could swing them around conferences and make names for sessions. The wealth that has nothing to do with money and everything to do with the level of trust within the society. The knowledge that you're surrounded by people who have your welfare at heart, who will return your lost property. He says, look at the psukim beforehand. Who will raise the alarm if someone is breaking into your house or car? Who will keep an eye on the safety of your children, who generally contribute to a good neighborhood, itself an essential component of a good society? And you'd like to think like, so in our siloed neighborhoods, we do have neighbors that look out for us. There's no question. Okay. Has there ever been, I mean, lo aleinu, chas v'shalom, let's say an ambulance comes to your house. Now, people are also just nosy and they want to know, like, if they're okay, they really just want to know what happened. They want the hock, what's going on. But let's say somebody saw a tow truck in front of your house. Don't be surprised if he says, oh, do you need a lift somewhere? Do you need a ride somewhere? Do you need me to take you anywhere? Do you need to pick anything up? That kind of thing. Because we have that. Or if somebody saw your kid, I don't know, like, fell off his bike on the street, and you would stop and you would say something, oh, can I help you? Can I get you home? These types of things, okay? So he says that's what makes a good society, and we're trying to make a good society. The man who has done more than anyone else to chart the fate of social capital in modern times is Harvard sociologist Robert Putnam. Here we go, adding to our reading list. In a famous article, Bowling Alone, and the subsequent book of the same title, Bowling Alone, the collapse and revival of American community. That sounds really interesting, by the way, Bowling Alone. Has anyone here ever gone bowling alone? Has anyone here ever gone bowling? Okay. Bowling alone? Anyone ever gone to the movies alone? I have. I have gone to the movies alone. Not in a long time, but I have done that. Some things I like to do alone just because I need to like think or whatever, or just clear my head. but some things I would never do alone. Yeah, museums alone. Okay, okay,
Look at the guy.
okay. That means you have to go to a museum though. So he says, and the book was so good that he wrote another book with the same title. He drew attention to the sharp loss of social capital in modern times. It was symbolized by the fact that more people than ever were going 10-pin bowling, but fewer than ever were joining bowling teams. Hence, bowling alone, which seemed to epitomize the individualism of contemporary society and its corollary to loneliness. Why do people join leagues? Why do people join teams? Why do people join shuls? A lot of it is for the social component of it. 10 years later, an equally fascinating study, American Grace, he argued that, in fact, social capital was alive and well in the United States, but the specific locations, namely religious communities, places of worship that still bring people together in shared belonging and mutual responsibility. Okay, there we have it. Boom. And when was this most pronounced? That we felt this the most is when we didn't have it the most, which was during COVID. Right? That's one of the things that we couldn't articulate at the time. It was only perhaps afterwards, especially when we came back, that we realized, wow, we really, really missed this. Right? And now as I'm preparing for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and I'm thinking like, man, going on and on for 2 years just talking about COVID, I felt like overdoing it. Now I'm thinking like, that's nothing compared to what we have to deal with now. Like I'll almost take that again, like those kind of issues. Although I could do without the headaches. But the isolation that people felt, even though we have this, and by the way, this I think is a very positive outcome, is that now we could bring, right? What, Mimi's going to schlep here every Tuesday? No, but she's with us all the time, right? Amazing. Okay. So we have everybody together, and people could see it even afterwards, this and that. Okay. The extensive research carried out in the United States between 2004 and 2006 showed that frequent church or synagogue goers are more likely to give money to charity, regardless of whether the charity is religious or secular. They're also more likely to do voluntary work for a charity, give money to a homeless person, give excess change back to a shop assistant, donate blood, help a neighbor with housework, spend time with someone who is feeling depressed, allow another driver to cut in front of them, offer a seat to a stranger, or help someone find a job. Okay? I go to shul, you can come in front of me, no problem. Okay. Religious Americans are measurably more likely than their secular counterparts to give of their time and money to others, not only within, but also beyond their own communities. That's really something. So I'll tell you, I mentioned it last week. We're going to do this project, this Thanks for Giving project. So today I got my partnership assignment. And because we're Metro West, we're going to partner with Kibbutz Erez. Kibbutz Erez has been a partner community of Metro West for a very, very long time. And there are 37 individuals from Kibbutz Erez are going to come here for a week in November. And that's part of our project. And we're going to host them. There's a big gala event in Manhattan. We're going to host them in our houses, and we're going to have Shabbos dinner. Actually, interestingly, he said they recommend, they give recommendations, and like I'll have all the inside information of like, we need to know particulars about people who, that's this issue, they're dealing with that issue, but we're going to try and match it with the right homes. And not just to like leave Israel, because they've dealt with so much, and these were all members of the security team and their families. Some had lost people, but just to show welcoming with open arms and saying like, here's an American experience for you, and you'll get to know our community. So we have many people will open if anybody wants to open their home, let me know. We're opening their homes to strangers, but not strangers. These are our people, and we're going to lift up their spirits. So I said, oh, it'd be great. We'll have a community Friday night dinner. And they actually said to me in our meeting yesterday, they said, you know what? A lot of these people are not used to these big gatherings. Every Friday night they go like, it's better to have like 1 or 2 families together, have a Friday night dinner. And Israeli stuff, I'm like, you know what? It's like, that's something I wouldn't have thought of, but that's brilliant. And that's exactly, again, totally secular. We could have had a religious kibbutz. No, we picked Erez, and hopefully our federation is going to kick in some funding as well. November 12th. The whole week? Oh, wow. So it's gonna be great. By the way, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be, and I think that who's gonna get the most out of it? We will. I'm saying that's that week. They're arriving this Sunday. That's Sunday, and then they're here for the week.
Shops will be the 15th.
Yeah, that week after, right? So we're gonna have do whatever we can just to whatever they want. Like, you want to see a museum in Manhattan, you want to go get kids here, like American Dream, like whatever it is. But who else would do that? But we do that. That's part of our religious ethos, is saying that we feel this camaraderie, we feel this obligation, we can help them out. And so regular attendance at a house of worship turns out to be the best predictor of altruism and empathy, better than education, age, income, gender, race. Religion creates community, community creates altruism, altruism turns us away from self and towards the common good. He goes so far as to speculate that an atheist who went regularly to church, perhaps because of a spouse, will be more likely to volunteer in a soup kitchen than a believer who prays alone. That's unbelievable. There's something about the tenor of relationships within a religious community that makes it an ongoing tutorial in citizenship and good neighborliness. Right? You feel when you miss shul, assuming, let's say you're a regular shul goer, right? We missed you this week, right? You must have been a little under the weather or something. Okay, good. Okay, so you're under the weather.
So you really miss it.
Right. When you're not, but I could tell you Claire's schedule to a T. We have a shiur here at 8:30. At approximately 8:56 a.m., Claire walks in and sits right over there, catches the end of the shiur, and then she goes and she sits with Elion, and they catch up on the week's doings and everything, right? And then at approximately 9:12, Claire goes out to get her coat because it's too cold in shul. She has to, right?
Freezing.
Right?
Yeah. So-
That's how I know we're doing well. When you go get your coat, that's how I know. You should just keep one here.
Just leave one.
You're like Mr. Rogers. You could have a
Put one, and then I have another one, a spare
Right.
one, in case it's really
Right.
cold, like around
right. So when
10:30.
so when you're
Siberia.
but when you're not here,
Yeah.
right? When you're not here, it's like, and I know people who are regular minyan goers in the morning, like the day's not the same if I can't start the day off going to shul.
Yeah, you miss it.
Right.
You do.
But it's the whole, but it's like I just said, the whole routine, that's part of the whole shtick of it. Like that's the beauty of it. Okay. So at the same time, you have to make sure that religiosity doesn't get in the way. One of the cruelest of all social science experiments was the Good Samaritan test organized in the 70s by John Darley and Daniel Batson. This is fairly well known. The parable tells the story of how a priest and a Levite failed to stop and help a traveler by the roadside who'd been attacked and robbed while the Samaritan did so. Okay, we know it's the Shomronim, some say, however you want to call it. And that's why all the hospital in Muncie called Good Samaritan Hospital. Wanting to get to the reality behind the story, psychologists recruited students from Princeton Theological Seminary and told them they were prepared to talk about being a minister. Half were given no more instructions than that. The other half were told to construct the talk around the Good Samaritan parable. This is great. Look what they did to them. They were then told to go and deliver the talk in a nearby building where the audience was waiting. Some were told they were late, others that if they left now, they would be on time, and a third group that there was no need to hurry. Unbeknown to the students, the researchers had positioned directly on the student's route an actor playing the part of a victim slumped in a doorway, moaning and coughing, replicating the situation in the Good Samaritan parable. You could probably guess the rest. Preparing a talk on the Good Samaritan had no influence whatsoever on whether the student actually stopped to help the victim. What made the difference was whether the student had been told he was late or that there was no hurry. On several occasions, the student about to deliver a talk on the Good Samaritan literally stepped over the victim as he hurried on his way. That was a notable part in the study, which is, so this is like in the rabbi's toolkit. They always use this, like when they need to pull out something good, like a good mashal. This is it, yeah. The point is not that some fail to practice what they preach, because that's Sept and Yivamas. The researchers themselves simply concluded that the parable should not be taken to suggest that Samaritans are better human beings than priests or Levium, but rather it depends on like what's going on in your life. So you may have every intention to stop on the highway, but if you're late for a meeting or you got to catch a bus or a train, so I can't. Now, there are always going to be those people that will just drop everything and say, and by the way, those are the people usually that annoy you the most, the people you like the least, right? The people that you wouldn't give the time of day to, and they're the ones that are the first ones to help you. Yeah, a lot of the times. That's what happens, right? Okay. The rushed seminary students may well have wanted to stop and help, but they were reluctant to keep a whole crowd waiting. They may have felt that their duty of the many overrode the duty to the one, right? So that's always, we have conflicting values, conflicting responsibilities, conflicting priorities. So we have to, but it's the same with everything. How many Israel related tzedakah organizations approached you this year? 8,000, 9,000? Right? So how do you decide who to give to, who not to give to? I don't know. I said, when I, in a conference with colleagues and they asked like, how do you spend the first, 2 months of October, November? I said, I was a referee in the tzedakah wars. Oh, I know how to get this thing into Israel. I know how to get the thing into Israel. I know, like that, there was a lot of that, for better, for worse, but we have to make priorities. The Rambam discusses priorities in tzedakah. You have to make priorities in your time. You make priorities in your learning. You have a finite amount of time to study Torah. What should you study? These types of things. So we make priorities. So they felt, oh, the crowd is waiting is a higher priority. That's more pressing right now than the guy that I literally just stepped over, who is coughing and moaning. Okay. The Princeton experiment does, though, help us understand the precise phrasing of what it says in our parsha. Do not see and ignore. Essentially, it's telling us to slow down when you see someone in need. Whatever the time pressure, don't walk by. Think of a moment when you needed help and a friend came to your assistance, right? Does it happen? I'm sure it's happened. We've all been helped out, or we've all hopefully helped out. Can you remember this? Of course. They linger in the mind forever, and whenever you think of them, you feel a warm glow as if to say, the world's not such a bad place after all. That's the life-changing idea. Never be in too much of a rush to stop and come to the aid of someone in need of help. Rarely, if ever, will you better invest your time. It may take a moment, but its effect may last a lifetime. Or as Wordsworth put it, the best portion of a good man's life, his little nameless, unremembered acts of kindness and love, right? Never be in too much of a rush to stop and help someone who is in need of help. So that's a big deal. And that's a lot of the mitzvos in these parsha, again, a lot of them interpersonal mitzvos, returning lost items, things in that, a lot of adjudication mitzvos. But sometimes like, how about if you see something on the ground or you find somebody's wallet, you know what it means to somebody if you like send back their wallet with everything in it? And like you took money out of your own time to go to the post office and pay postage and send it back. I mean, what has the address, right? And to do that, or what that means. Because is there a worse feeling in the world when you lose your wallet? Because all you're thinking about is, oh God, well, I gotta get a new license. I gotta change my credit cards. Oh God, my whole life, somebody's gonna steal my identity. And that's what we think of now. Somebody's gonna steal my identity.
Terrible.
Right? Or the feeling, or has anyone hacked your emails? Right? That's a horrible, it's a feeling of violation, and you feel like, oh my God, like I don't know what to do. So there's when someone helps you, then you take the exact opposite of that and the positivity that comes as a result. And if you could be the person that affects that positivity, even better. And I'll say it. So we're coming to a Yontif season, and right. So think about when if you're thinking about your list of inviting company and things like that. Think of like, who's somebody that doesn't normally get invited somewhere? Who's somebody that is alone, or somebody's single, or somebody's just had a loss, or somebody's whatever. Maybe we should invite that person, right? And I guarantee you, it may not be a big deal for you, but for that person, it's a huge thing. It's a huge thing, right? With everything that's going on, that's small things, and that's the beauty of this. So. Yes, Claire. Claire put on her sweater, by the way, because the air conditioning went on.
I wanted to say Edison is one of those communities where my son lives.
Yeah.
Where they have, before the Jewish holidays, they have people coming in from every neighborhood in Brooklyn and Williamsburg and any place to collect money. And so my grandson, one year, when they, after I don't even know how many people came, he said, the police are here. He calls them the police. They come every groups and groups of people to collect money in Edison, and they're very charitable. It's a very nice community. Yeah, that's a whole conversation I'll have with you offline. Not while I'm being recorded for another thing, but we Baruch Hashem have no shortage of that either. So, as I mentioned last week, so we're going to think about what we're going to study after Sukkot. With thoughts, suggestions, and again, we have the text-based crowd, and we have the ideas-based crowd, or we could do both. Doesn't mean we can't do both. We could do a little both. Again, obviously, what we were trying to do what's best for the olam. And I am in a service industry, so I aim to serve the needs of the klal.
So anyway, have a good day, everybody. Good to see everybody.
תודה רבה. תודה.
You have to learn about capitalism, what happened.